And then we're moving on, trying to go get another one.
Patrick Mahomes may be leaving the NFL. They slashed $54 million off his contract, his knee is torn, the Chiefs just went 6-11, and he's on camera saying he's moving on. But when we pulled the actual contract numbers, what we found tells a completely different story. Here's what happened. The bag situation. On February 18, 2026, the Kansas City Chiefs restructured Patrick Mahomes' contract. The team converted $54.45 million of his 2026 compensation into a signing bonus. That number split into $44.05 million from his base salary and $10.4 million from a roster bonus. All that money got spread out over the remaining years of the deal for salary cap purposes. Before the restructure, Mahomes was sitting at a cap hit of roughly $78,214 million for 2026. After the restructure, that dropped to $34,653,888. The cap space created was $43.56 million. That is a stupid amount of cap space to unlock in one move. This was the fourth year in a row the Chiefs pulled this move. In 2023, they saved about $9.6 million. Then in September 2023, they did a massive revision, moved approximately $48.3 million forward, guaranteed around $210.6 million over 4 years, converted his performance incentives into escalators, and added void years. In March 2024, they converted about $27 million and saved $21.6 million. In March 2025, they converted roughly $47.75 million and saved $38.2 million. And now in February 2026, $54.45 million converted, $43.56 million freed up. Every single year, the numbers get bigger. Every single year, they're kicking more money down the road, and the future numbers are genuinely insane. Mahomes' 2027 cap hit now sits at $85,253,888. The league cap for 2026 was projected around $302 to $303 million. So one dude would be eating more than a quarter of the entire team's cap in 2027 if they don't restructure again. The cap hits from 2028 through 2030 also went up by around $10.89 to $11 million per year. Every dollar of that $43.56 million that got pushed forward is now fully guaranteed. The Chiefs literally cannot walk away from Mahomes without eating catastrophic dead cap. They are locked in with this man through 2031 whether they like it or not. But here's the thing nobody talks about in the clickbait headlines. Mahomes' actual cash did not change. His real earnings for 2026 stayed at $56.75 million. That's $1.3 million base salary, plus the $54.45 million restructure bonus, plus a $1 million workout bonus. The restructure changed the accounting. It did not change his paycheck. He gets the same bread regardless. And honestly, the timing of it actually works in his favor. The bonus portion gets paid as a lump sum instead of being spread out as weekly game checks during the season. He gets his money faster this way. This is not a pay cut. This is not a loss. This is Mahomes getting the exact same bag with slightly different paperwork. His original deal, the 10-year, $450 million extension signed July 6, 2020, was literally the biggest contract in sports history when he signed it. It runs through 2031 with void years in 2032 and 2033. It includes a no-trade clause. It includes performance escalators worth up to $2.5 million annually tied to MVP awards, conference championship appearances, and Super Bowl wins. None of those escalators were touched by the February restructure. His career earnings through early 2026 sit at approximately $232 million in cash. Projected total through 2031 is roughly $484 million. He's got roster bonuses of $6.1 million in 2027, $8.2 million in 2028, and up to $25.975 million in 2029. None of that changed. For comparison, Joe Burrow's 5-year, $275 million extension with the Bengals includes traditional incentives worth up to $1.25 million annually, with a higher 65% snap threshold and no MVP component. And the Bengals haven't done the kind of annual restructuring that the Chiefs do with Mahomes. Different structures, same fundamental principle. These are financial tools baked into modern NFL mega deals, not signs of beef.
So, Patrick Mahomes, big time restructure today. Big time team player moment from number 15, as for the fourth consecutive season, every year since he initially got the new extension, he restructures his contract with the Kansas City Chiefs, this time creating a whopping $43.5 million in cap space. So here's the breakdown for you guys. Before the restructure, Mahomes was on the books at $78 million, over $78 million. The savings amount to $43.5 million.
The Chiefs entered the 2026 offseason projected to be more than $50 to $60 million over the salary cap. They were cooked cap-wise. They needed to move money around or they couldn't sign anybody. And Mahomes, like he does every single year, said, "Bet, let's run it back with the restructure." But the timing is what got people talking, because what happened right before this contract move was genuinely the worst stretch of Mahomes' entire career. The down bad season. The 2025 season was an absolute disaster movie for Mahomes and the Chiefs. There is no sugarcoating it. This was a franchise that had been to 7 straight AFC championship games and won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. And suddenly they were sitting at 6-11, third in the AFC West, watching the playoffs from the couch for the first time since 2017, before Mahomes had even started a game. Mahomes started 14 games, and the stat line was brutal by his standards. 315 of 502 for 62.7%, 3,587 yards, 22 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 89.6 passer rating. For a guy who had casually thrown 50 touchdowns in his first year as a starter and carried a career rating above 100, these numbers were a whole different vibe. He looked mortal. He looked like a regular quarterback. And for Patrick Mahomes, looking regular is basically a crisis. The red zone was where it got really ugly. He threw at least 3 interceptions inside the opponent's 20-yard line, and his red zone completion rate was 53.95%, which was worse than multiple quarterbacks who got benched that same season. The spot on the field where Mahomes usually turns into a cheat code had become his worst nightmare. Turnovers in scoring range are basically franchise-ending plays when they happen consistently, and they were happening consistently. Close games? Forget about it. The Chiefs were historically tragic in one-score games, 0-5 or worse early in the season. In 2024, they went 10-0 in games decided by 7 points or fewer. Literally, the clutchest team in football, winning every single close game like it was scripted. In 2025, they completely flipped the script and started losing every single one. Fourth quarter leads evaporated like they were never there. Game-winning drives died on the vine. The clutch gene that had defined the Mahomes era just stopped activating. It was like watching someone's My Player build get nerfed in real time. Same player model, same animations, but the stats aren't hitting the same anymore. The offensive line got absolutely decimated by injuries. Josh Simmons went down. Jawan Taylor, already public enemy #1 in Chiefs Kingdom because of his non-stop penalties, got hurt in week 13. The backup tackles were getting cooked every week, and Mahomes was running for his life behind a front 5 that was basically held together with tape and prayer. He rushed 64 times for 422 yards and 5 touchdowns, and those scrambles weren't designed runs. They were survival plays from a dude whose pocket was collapsing before the play even developed. The receiving core was thin. Rashee Rice started the year on suspension. Xavier Worthy flashed but was inconsistent. The classic rookie growing pains where you see the ceiling one week and the floor the next. Travis Kelce, pushing 36, was still doing Travis Kelce things, but the supporting cast around him lacked the explosive juice that Tyreek Hill used to bring. Without a legit deep threat to keep defenses honest, opposing coordinators loaded up the intermediate zones and dared Mahomes to beat them deep with receivers who couldn't consistently win those matchups. It was like watching a superstar try to carry a squad in a pickup game where nobody else can shoot. Eventually, the defense just doubles you and it's over. The offensive scheme under Matt Nagy got dragged for being too conservative. Too many screens, too many short passes, not enough of the vertical aggression that had made Mahomes the most appointment-viewing quarterback in the league. The whole identity of the offense had shifted. The play-action shots were gone. The designed rollouts were gone. The downfield bombs that used to make defensive coordinators lose sleep were basically non-existent. What was left was a system that asked the most creative improviser in football to play within a box, and the box was way too small for his skill set. The contrast with just 1 year earlier, when Mahomes won his 3rd Super Bowl and 3rd Super Bowl MVP, made it all hit even harder. How do you go from the mountaintop to this in 12 months? Roster attrition, injuries piling up, scheme going stale, execution falling off, all of it compounding into one miserable season. The defense was actually solid, top 10, around 6th in some rankings, which made the whole thing even more painful. The defense was doing its job and giving the offense chances. The offense kept failing to convert. Close loss after close loss after close loss, each one more demoralizing than the last. You could feel the energy draining out of Arrowhead week by week, the belief fading, the realization setting in that this wasn't a slow start. This was who the 2025 Chiefs actually were. Mahomes took full accountability. No excuses, no deflecting. He said he wasn't making the throws on deep balls. He pointed to the compounding mistakes. He called out the red zone interceptions as unacceptable. He was brutally honest in a way that you rarely see from superstars. No media-trained non-answers, just straight ownership of the failures. And then came December 14th, the night everything went off a cliff. The injury and the grind back. Week 15, Chargers at Arrowhead, a 16-13 game that nobody will remember for the score. Late in the fourth quarter, Mahomes scrambled right, threw the ball away, planted his left foot, and got brought down by Chargers defensive end Dashawn Hand. He grabbed his knee immediately. The stadium went dead silent, that kind of silence where 70,000 people collectively realized they just watched something terrible happen in real time. MRI confirmed it the same day, torn ACL and LCL in his left knee. Surgery happened the next morning, December 15th, in Dallas with Dr. Dan Cooper, both ligaments repaired. No meniscus damage, no nerve issues, no artery complications. The cleanest possible version of a devastating injury, if such a thing exists. The quick surgery timing, getting it done before the swelling really set in, was a deliberate move that gave him the best possible foundation for recovery. Season over. Playoff hopes officially dead. The Chiefs' campaign was a wrap. The remaining games played out like garbage time for a franchise that doesn't do garbage time. It was a vibe nobody in Chiefs Kingdom had experienced since before Mahomes was the guy. But here's where the Mahomes mentality kicks in, the thing that separates him from basically everybody else. By December 19th, 4 days after knee reconstruction surgery, he was already rehabbing. Not light stuff, not going through the motions. Aggressive, intense, I'm getting back on this field as fast as humanly possible work. He linked up with Chiefs assistant athletic trainer Julie Freimeyer and set up shop at the team's facility, and he essentially moved in. He was bending his knee to 90 degrees within days of the operation, a milestone that usually takes people way longer to hit. His body was cooperating at a level that surprised even the medical staff. On January 15th, about a month post-surgery, he did a video press conference and said the rehab was going great so far and that he was hitting all the checkpoints. His target, week 1 of the 2026 season, no restrictions. Doctors told him it was realistic. Standard timeline for a combined ACL-LCL tear is about 9 months. Mahomes was acting like the timeline was a suggestion, not a rule. By February, Andy Reid dropped that Mahomes was spending 7 hours a day at the facility. 7 hours. Arriving early, staying late, grinding through treatment and exercises all day. GM Brett Veach called him a unicorn. Said he was doing about 90% of the work on site and attacking it full throttle. This man was treating his rehab like it was a playoff run. Then on March 25th, 3.5 months post-surgery, Mahomes posted a video on Instagram that broke the internet. He was dropping back, planting on his left foot, and throwing passes with clean mechanics in a gym. Compression sleeve on the knee, full drops, full plants, full weight transfer. Caption, day by day, felt great being able to throw the ball around today. For context, most guys aren't doing that until month 6 or 7. Mahomes was out here cooking at 3.5 months like the surgery was a minor inconvenience. The video racked up millions of views and reactions across every sports platform. It was the clearest visual proof yet that this man was not on a normal recovery timeline. He was operating on his own schedule, and his own schedule said the standard 9-month window was mid. At the league meetings in late March, the Chiefs basically said what everybody already knew. Andy Reid told reporters Mahomes was doing great, praised the 7 hours a day grind, and then dropped the quote of the entire offseason: "I would never bet against him." Clark Hunt called the rehab ahead of schedule. Jay Glazer said he could be practice ready by early July, 2 full months ahead of the typical timeline. The Chiefs brought in Justin Fields as a backup, but every single statement from the building treated Fields as insurance, not the future. This is the same dude who played through a dislocated kneecap in the 2019 AFC Championship and still won the Super Bowl. He doesn't know how to quit. The concept is foreign to him. His pain tolerance is different. His competitive drive is different. Everything about how he approaches adversity is built different, and the ACL recovery was proving that in real time. The history of ACL comebacks in the NFL is full of cautionary tales. Guys who came back too early and got hurt again. Guys who came back on time, but were never the same. Guys who lost the confidence to plant and throw without hesitation. For every Adrian Peterson miracle comeback, there are dozens of quieter, sadder stories. But Mahomes was speedrunning his recovery like the standard timeline was an insult to his work ethic, and every data point from the medical staff was confirming that his body was responding in ways that defied normal expectations. The resume that speaks for itself. Before we get to the verdict, you have to understand who we're actually talking about here, because the conversation around Mahomes leaving the NFL makes zero sense when you look at what this man has accomplished in a career that isn't even halfway done yet. 3 Super Bowl rings, Live in 2020, LVII in 2023, LV8 in 2024. 3-time Super Bowl MVP, tied with Joe Montana for second all-time behind Brady's 5. Youngest quarterback ever to win Super Bowl MVP when he did it at 24. 2-time league MVP, 2018 and 2022. First player in the 21st century to win both regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same year. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, Offensive Player of the Year, led the league in passing yards in 2022 and passing touchdowns in 2018 and 2022.
Is this one the most satisfying based on where you were, losing 5 of 8 at one point in the regular season?
1,000%. I mean, just the attitude of the team to never give up, always believe, and to continue the fight. It's special, and I'm proud of the guys, man. I mean, we battled through and through all the way through the playoffs into the Super Bowl, and just like our whole season, it came down to the last play.
His breakout 2018 season, 5,097 yards and 50 touchdowns in his first year as a starter, is still one of the most ridiculous debut campaigns in NFL history. Only the second QB ever to hit both those marks. In 2022, he set the NFL single-season record for total yards by a QB at 5,714 through 126 career games, 35,139 passing yards, 267 touchdowns, 85 interceptions, 100.8 passer rating, plus 2,665 rushing yards and 19 rushing touchdowns. Career passing yards per game record at roughly 286.8, fastest to 15,000 and 20,000 career passing yards, 17 playoff wins, 7 straight AFC championship appearances.
Yeah, I hear it. I mean, to me, it's always going to be tough because Brady beat me in the Super Bowl. That's one thing you'll always have in my head, but it gives me something to strive for every single day, is chasing greatness. And whenever I'm tired, I might not want to work out, I know that I have to do it in order to be in these moments like this.
He came back from 24 down against the Texans in the 2019 divisional round. He rallied from 10 down in Super Bowl Lev. He won Super Bowl LVs in overtime after a game-tying drive with seconds left. The no-look passes, the sidearm lasers, the off-platform throws that break physics. This man plays quarterback like it's an art form. He turned the Chiefs from a fun team into an actual dynasty in an era where dynasties are supposed to be impossible.
Yeah, I go out there and have fun. I enjoy it. I think that's the biggest thing is you go out there and you play the game. It's a kid's game. We're so lucky to be on this platform, to be able to go out there and play and make all this money and do all this stuff and be here with you. And it all comes from a kid's game, so why not go and enjoy it every single day?
Born in Tyler, Texas, Dad pitched 11 years in the big leagues, got drafted by the Detroit Tigers in baseball before choosing football at Texas Tech, where he led the FBS in passing yards with 5,052 and touchdowns with 53 as a junior, set NCAA records for 819 offensive yards and 734 passing yards in a single game. The Chiefs traded up to grab him 10th overall in the 2017 draft, and it turned out to be the most important pick in franchise history by a country mile. Married Brittany Matthews in 2022, 3 kids, runs the 15, and the Mahomes Foundation for Children's Health and Education, has spoken openly about his pride in his biracial identity. The dynasty he built with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce turned the AFC into their personal playground for the better part of a decade. 7 straight conference championship appearances, 5 Super Bowl trips, 3 rings. In a league specifically designed to stop anyone from staying on top for that long, salary caps, compensatory picks, scheduling penalties for winning too much, the Chiefs under Mahomes said, nah, we're different, and proved it year after year after year. The no-look passes, the sidearm throws while running sideways, the off-platform heaves that shouldn't be physically possible. These aren't just highlights, they're the defining images of an entire generation of football. He plays the position like nobody has ever played it before.
Real quick. Hey, they asked for it. Yeah. And they got what they asked for. Hey, but he said it. This ain't done.
One rough season doesn't delete this resume. One torn knee doesn't erase 3 rings. One contract restructure doesn't undo a dynasty. This man's highlight reel alone is a Hall of Fame case. The comebacks, the impossible throws, the championship moments under the brightest lights. That doesn't just go away because of one bad year and one bad injury. But the question everybody's been waiting for, is Mahomes actually leaving? Let's get into it. The verdict, is he actually out? No. Full stop. Patrick Mahomes is not leaving the NFL. He has not announced anything remotely close to leaving the NFL. There is no contract dispute. There has never been a contract dispute. The February 2026 restructure was the fourth annual restructure of the exact same contract, the 10-year, $450 million extension he signed on July 6, 2020. It was a routine salary-to-signing bonus conversion designed to create $43.56 million in cap space for a team that was more than $50 to $60 million over the salary cap. His cash earnings did not change by a single dollar. He's still getting $56.75 million in 2026. His contract still runs through 2031. His no-trade clause is still active. His escalators, up to $2.5 million per year, are completely untouched. No new deal was negotiated. No renegotiation happened. Nobody in the building has said a single word about departure. Every legit NFL source, ESPN, NFL.com, Over the Cap, Spot Rack, The Athletic, confirms this was standard cap management that changed zero about Mahomes' actual compensation. The entire controversy exists because people confused a cap number with a paycheck. The cap number dropped from $78 million to $34 million. The cash stayed at $56.75 million. Those are two completely different things, and mixing them up, whether on purpose for clicks or out of genuine ignorance, is what created this entire narrative out of thin air.
All in, if you make the three cuts that we've talked about, that I think the Kansas City Chiefs will make, Mike Dana, Jawan Taylor, and Shamari Connor, you are saving a whopping $32.7 million already. Add that into the $43.5 that you saved earlier today from Patrick Mahomes. This is separate. This is a separate $32 million. So we are moving in the right direction, my friends.
The Chiefs did this because they had to. After going 6-11, after losing their franchise QB to a torn ACL and LCL, after watching their offensive line fall apart and their running game disappear, they needed flexibility to retool the roster. The restructure gave them that. The projected cuts, Jawan Taylor for about $20 million in savings, Mike Dana for $8.9 million, Shamari Connor for $3.6 million, were all enabled by the breathing room Mahomes' restructure created. The Chiefs went from the worst cap situation in the league to a projected top 10 position with around $42.5 million in available space. Mahomes agreed because it cost him literally nothing in real money and kept every single one of his long-term guarantees intact. The deal was built for this. It was designed from day one to be restructured annually. The cap grows every year in the NFL, which means the inflated future numbers get absorbed over time. This is the same playbook every franchise uses with their franchise quarterback. There's nothing unusual about it. There's no smoke, there's no fire, there is no beef. And his comeback, it's tracking ahead of schedule. He's throwing. He's planting on the repaired knee. He's putting in 7 hours a day at the facility. Reed says he'd never bet against him. Clark Hunt says the rehab is ahead of schedule. Glazer says he could be practice ready by July. The target is week 1, and every piece of evidence says he's going to hit it.
But he said it. This ain't done. We come back next week ready to go. And turn it up or not.
Mahomes is not leaving. He's locked in through 2031 with nearly $500 million still on the table. He's the franchise quarterback. He's arguably still the best player in the entire NFL. And he's focused on one thing, getting back on the field and adding more hardware to a legacy that already includes 3 rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 league MVPs, and more records than most quarterbacks accumulate in 20-year careers. This was never a story about leaving. It was always a story about coming back. Peace. Check out our other content on screen.